Over the years, I've heard some great things about Honkai Impact 3rd, Genshin Impact, and most recently, Honkai Star Rail. These games were all made by the Chinese development company MiHoYo, also known as HoYoverse. I recently had a few weeks without a new RPG to play, so thought it was time to bite the bullet and give the latest title, Honkai Star Rail, a go. Now, where Genshin Impact is a multiplayer open-world action combat RPG, Honkai Star Rail changes things up with single-player turn-based combat and smaller locations to explore. But like Genshin Impact, it is also an ongoing game with updates to the story, characters, and events every several weeks. Wait, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Why would I want to play a gacha game that isn't even finished yet? Fair call, and that's what I thought too, but hear me out. While Honkai Star Rail was only released last year and has only had several major updates, there is still a lot of content available, easily providing well over 30 hours of playtime. And the best part is, the game is free to play. I did not spend a cent and was still able to experience everything that I wanted or needed to. I think that many of you out there would get a lot out of Honkai Star Rail, and hopefully this review will let you know if it's worth your time. Before we get into it, if you liked this video, it would help me out a lot to hit that like button and sub for more RPG content coming soon. You can also hit that super thanks if you'd like to support the channel. I'd also love to hear from you. Have you played the game yet, or do you think it's one for you? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, let's get into it. The main story begins with the space station being attacked by a load of intergalactic monsters. To quell the destruction, two hunters infiltrate the station, steal a mysterious object known as a Stellaron, and insert it into the body of an empty vessel. This vessel, known as the Trailblazer, is the main character of the game. He or she, depending on who you choose, wakes up sometime later with no memory aboard the Astral Express, which is basically a really big train capable of traversing the universe. In hope of discovering his origins and to eliminate the threat of other Stellarons on other planets, he teams up with a few others and sets out on the Astral Express. Now, as mentioned before, Honkai Star Rail is an ongoing game with new content being released every several weeks. At this point, there are 3 major locations, each with their own storylines, characters, and major conflict which relates to the existence of a Stellaron. And while 3 major locations may not seem like much, there is still plenty of content, enough to rival other full-size JRPGs. While I did really enjoy the story that we have so far, it seriously suffers from a lot of waffle, and not the tasty kind. There is way too much boring dialogue, with characters just dumping loads of information in your face, a lot of which I didn't care about. I wish these conversations were much more to the point, because a lot of the time I was bored. But if you can put this aside, there is a lot on offer here. There is some seriously deep lore with an excellent large cast of characters from all walks of life. I am really looking forward to visiting the next planet, meeting a new bunch of characters, and learning more about this massive universe. Honkai Star Rail is a damn impressive looking game. It looks very anime-y because it is very anime-y. The character models are all unique and full of personality, and the environments look stunning. They're just so detailed, and I couldn't help but look around at all of the rooms and locations and all of the tiny little things. But while the environments look great, there is a lot of room for improvement when it comes to the dungeons and quest objectives. Most of the time, we only get small maps to explore that involve following quest markers from point A to point B. Once this is done, yet another small area may open up where you, once again, run from point A to point B, then maybe fast travel to point C, D, F, Q, and then back to A. These dungeons also feel very linear, with only the occasional optional path leading to a chest or powerful optional enemy. I really would have liked larger, more open areas with less running around and traveling back and forth. Next, we have the soundtrack, which is really awesome. There are some absolute bangers, especially some of the major boss fights. You can also collect tracks around the universe and play them when on the Astral Express. I really love it when games do this. Then there's the voice acting. Just about all of the main story scenes are fully voice acted, and these sound really great, but I did have a couple of issues here. For one, some of the minor characters have no lip movement whatsoever, such as old boy Oleg the ventriloquist here. Did they think that because he has a quality mo that they didn't need to move his mouth? Who knows? And my next issue may be something that doesn't really impact anyone else, but it does me. Subtitle use is an art. In a perfect world, they would be thoughtfully revealed as the words are spoken, with not too much given away in advance. Honkai Star Rail did not take this into consideration. Story scenes can be very dialogue heavy, and the subtitles here are often presented as full paragraphs. This forced me to read ahead or just sit there and watch the waffle being spoken. This really impacted my immersion in the moment. But with that said, I really do wish all of the side quests were fully voiced. The more important side quests are, and these ones are great, but some of the others, oh no. These are just like the main quests, with loads of waffle and travelling back and forth, but this time they have no voiceovers. I just really wasn't into them most of the time and skipped the excessive side quest talk, which is something very rare for me. The truth is, I just don't give a shit about your life story, Bob. Honkai Star Rail's turn-based combat system is fairly simple, but it works exceptionally well. You can take 4 characters into battle. A major focus here is balancing your regular attacks with your character's skills. Basic attacks are much weaker and will earn you a single skill point, whereas skills are more powerful but will consume a skill point, so you need to find the balance between the two. Each character can also unleash their ultimate when the individual gauge fills. These don't take too long to fill, and the interesting thing about them is that you can use them at any time, meaning that you can cut in the turn order and unleash them at clutch moments. But the thing that makes this system so fun is that each character's playstyle is so unique. Each character falls into a certain path, which is like a class, and this gives you an idea of their capabilities. For example, characters of the Hunt path have skills that deal huge damage to a single target, whereas characters from the Preservation class will possess defensive skills to protect allies in various ways. There's also an impressive amount that you can do to upgrade your characters. This includes attaching and upgrading light cones, which boost stats and provide a significant passive ability, equipping and upgrading relics, which is basically your equipment, upgrading your tracers, which is a character-specific skill tree, and unlocking a character's eidolons to enhance their battle capabilities even more. Then there's finding the correct types of items and experience to remove level caps and to level up and ascend everything, and this does eventually require quite a bit of grinding. If you want to stand a chance of defeating the most powerful enemies or story bosses, you're going to need a range of battle-ready characters, as this combat system has a major focus on enemy weaknesses. Most enemies will display what their weaknesses are prior to battle, allowing you to choose a combo of characters most suited for that encounter, as each character attacks with a particular element. Exploiting weaknesses is important, as it will break the enemy, which will delay their turn and amplify the damage that they receive. Sometimes, however, with some of the major bosses, you have no idea what they're weak against. This usually makes it worth leaving and re-entering the fight to select different party members, which is something that I'm not really a fan of. I mean, if you don't have characters capable of breaking a specific boss, then the battle will go on for way longer than it should. But to put it simply, while the combat itself is fairly basic, the core mechanics and the large roster of unique characters keeps it fresh at all times. This makes the battle system one of the best things about Honkai Star Rail. Let me warn you now, the amount of things that you can do in Honkai Star Rail can be very overwhelming. There are so many menus and so many upgrade mechanics and things to do that the only way you'll get your head around it is to spend hours and hours going through it all. There's assignments that you can send your party members out on. There's a travel log with loads of different events which will change all the time. There's item synthesis, achievements, and the Nameless Honor, which is kind of like a battle pass system. Then there's the Interastral Peace Guide, which gives you dozens of challenges to take on, including a comprehensive roguelike system, which I found really awesome. I loved how much there is to do, but initially I had no idea what was going on. To make things even more complicated, there are 1,000,001 different currencies, each with their own unique purpose, such as leveling up your characters, your relics, and your light cones. Luckily, you can examine each item that you pick up and read what it does, but it's still not easy to memorize everything. And I think this is a good time to mention that Honkai Star Rail is cross-platform. I know what you're thinking, and I don't like mobile gaming either, but the fact that I could play the majority of the game on my PS5 and then do other things on my phone when I was out, like grinding through those challenges, was really cool. Yes, it is true. At its core, Honkai Star Rail is a gacha game, but don't let that put you off, because I was never once even tempted to spend money on the game. You are given more than enough tools to get through the game comfortably and plenty of resources to unlock things at a decent rate without getting out your credit card. If you did choose to spend money, you could purchase different currencies to help you unlock characters, light cones, or relics faster, and items to help you level up quicker. But like I said, you absolutely don't need to. And besides, the game is single player, so it's not like like other players will have the edge over you due to spending loads of daddy's cash. The only thing I really wanted to unlock was all of the characters. After seeing some of the good ones play a large role in the story, naturally you're going to want them on your roster. But it's also very likely that you'll obtain characters that you haven't technically met yet in the story, and this all comes down to your luck when warping them in through the gacha system. This may seem like a strange way to go about things since it doesn't really make sense from a story perspective, but it is really cool getting a character then seeing them in the story and being like, "Oh, it's you!" Even though ongoing gacha games aren't usually my thing, I am really glad that I gave Honkai Star Rail a shot. To be fair, I really don't care if there's gacha mechanics involved, so long as I can still enjoy the game without paying a cent, and that is exactly what I did. But when you think about it, it is pretty bloody good value because you can get a high budget JRPG experience for absolutely free. Honkai Star Rail is beautifully presented. The anime style aesthetics looks great and the quality voice acting and soundtrack enhance the overall experience. There's also a great cast of characters and learning about them has been one of the best parts of the game so far. But I think my favourite thing about Star Rail is the turn-based combat and the variety that you have thanks to the extensive roster of unique characters. And this may be just the beginning, but there is still so much to do. Even after completing all of the current story quests, I'm still frequently jumping in, working through the challenges and making my characters as strong as possible. But while the story is interesting enough, it is bloated with way too much waffle. The story dialogue really needs to be reduced. The story objectives are also quite repetitive. This usually involves constantly travelling from point A to point B and back again through small linear dungeons that offer little exploration. If you're after a solid JRPG style experience that will probably keep you busy for years without busting the bank, Honkai Star Rail is definitely worth checking out. Have you played this game yet, or do you think it's one for you? Let me know in the comments below. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, hit that like button and sub for more JRPG content coming soon. You can also hit that super thanks if you'd like to support the channel. See you next time.